What is going on, Chicago Bears fans? I hope you're having a great holiday. Hope you have fun with your family today. Make sure you hit the like button on the way in. We are going to talk about something really weird that cropped up over this weekend that Matthew Judon, who was traded from the New England Patriots to the Atlanta Falcons, actually preferred to go to Chicago. And as the details come out, and you saw this on Hard Knocks, you know that the trade was being worked on. You know that there were instances in which it looked like maybe this was going to come to pass, that we'd get another elite defensive end into the mix here in Chicago. And it didn't work out that way. And we really didn't understand a lot of how it worked out. What we knew at that time was that Matthew Judon preferred Atlanta, and that was where he went. But context matters greatly. And what we ended up finding out was that the conversation was about third-round draft picks and that the Bears and the Atlanta Falcons both made third-round picks. But here's what happened. Reports just came out that the deal went down because Chicago and Judon couldn't reach common ground on his new contract, which led to Atlanta winning the race. It turns out the details are a bit more complicated, and here is what happened. Matthew Judon is turning 32 and looking to his future. He really liked the idea of going to Chicago, but based on preliminary contract talks with the Bears, it seemed as if their cash and cap situation going forward, based on all the commitments they'd already made for 2025, would make this a one-year rental situation. While all of this was happening, Falcons coach Raheem Morris got on the phone with Judon, did a fantastic job selling him on his scheme, the team, and his plan for the star rusher. Bottom line, Judon could see an extended future in Atlanta. It was harder to see that in Chicago, as good as the 1 year there might have been. So, and here's the thing. Obviously, it's understandable that he would take this route, that, you want security in your contract. And I mean, let's face it, this guy probably hasn't made but 150, 200 million so far. So he's probably broke and needs that extra money. So, it would seem like this was a move to make sure that he continues to pull in that revenue for that period of time. And listen, the Bears with Montez Sweat, with Austin Booker, are probably going to be set at defensive end for a few years to come for their all-star starter type guys. So with this being the case, then you got to think that the Bears put themselves in a great position by not making this trade to give Austin Booker that opportunity to get on the field. And look, say what you want. Maybe he needs a little bit more time. Maybe he's going to have to work on it and get better, et cetera, et cetera. But getting time on the field, especially when you are what Austin Booker looks like, which is an elite level talent, probably works out in the Chicago Bears' favor overall. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. Matthew Judon not going to make it to Chicago, going to Atlanta Falcons. And the reason was because the Bears were non-committal to a long-term contract. I don't know if that was a good or bad idea. I'm interested what you guys think. But I think that with Austin Booker, with what we have as far as talent right now, there was just no room for him. So let's move on. Next up, the Bears. This is enlightening, and I think that we really kind of saw that in the product on the field back in 2023. And I feel like we have turned a big corner for the Chicago Bears. But last year, the Bears reportedly had zero faith in starting quarterback. The Chicago Bears, according to Eric Lambert of Sports Mockery, Bears head coach Matt Eberflus had very little confidence in quarterback Justin Fields' decision-making last season, which prompted Eberflus to call plays in an uncharacteristic fashion during fourth quarters. And guess what? When you think of it in that context, I think we all knew that. The underlying sentiment here was we kind of felt that way about Justin Fields. Like, why are we doing what we're doing? Why are we running 3 times and out? Why are we not trying to move the ball downfield? There were questions that I think a lot of us were watching as we saw the product on the field, and we didn't understand what was happening here. Well, It turns out there were rumblings in and around the Bears building that Eberflus' decision-making in the fourth quarter stemmed from having zero faith in Justin Fields as a passer. Lambert sourced another piece of information from Bill Zimmerman of Windy City Gridiron, who went into even greater detail about the tension. There are plenty of people around the team, media and non-media, who believe that many of Eberflus' questionable decisions were made because he didn't trust Justin Fields to do the right thing with the football. On 3rd and 6 from the opponent's 30-yard line, Eberflus was more comfortable running the football and settling for a field goal than risking a turnover on a pass or a bad sack that knocks them out of field goal range. If that's the case, we should see a big improvement in his fourth quarter decision-making with a different quarterback under center. If we still have the conservative decisions because the Bears have a rookie quarterback, at some point, just believe people when they show you who they are. At that point, it would be safe to say that Matt Eberflus is your typical conservative defensive coach. So the question that we're going to ask now is, will things be will things be different? And Crimson says, so Flus was calling offensive plays. I don't know that he was calling offensive plays, but I know that he was probably having conversations with Luke Getsy last year saying, look, I do not want the ball. I do not want the passing game. I do not want Justin Fields to lose games for us. I don't want that to happen no matter what. Do not let him air this out unless we're down, 10 points. He was probably saying, let's rely on our run game and let's get it there. So was he calling the offensive plays? No. Was he saying, I don't want the ball in the air? Probably. And that would make sense, because if you go back and you watch some of the product on the field and you see passes, it's not like we're not passing the ball, but you see certain situations in which, the Bears might have a lead and they go incredibly conservative because they don't want it looked like they were afraid of screwing up. And when you play that way, then you end up screwing up. And that's really what it came down to. We were not a team that could assert its will on another team last season. We didn't have that strength. It hadn't tied everything together yet. We were not in a position. So the end result on the field was that we were doing things that we probably should not have done. We were probably a little bit too conservative. Look, if you had a good the source that I'm citing is Windy City Gridiron and Sports Mockery. Eric Lambert and Bill Zimmerman both are hearing from inside Hallis Hall that was what was going on, both from the media and from non-media personnel. So there's multiple sources reporting the same. So it looks like this is a situation that might be fixed this year if Caleb Williams is as good as advertised. Now, to go along with that, Caleb Williams was voted a team captain this morning, and he is yet to take an official snap for the Chicago Bears, but guess what? He is now the team captain, or one of the team captains. There was a list of team captains that were chosen, and it started with Tremaine Edmonds and TJ Edwards across the top here. And then you had Caleb Williams, DJ Moore, and then Kevin Byard in the second line right there. And then finally, you had Cole Kmet, Jalen Johnson, and Mercedes Lewis. What they're saying, he's not calling offensive plays. He's telling Luke Getsy what he can and cannot do, and that Luke Getsy has to be conservative with his play calling. He's not actually calling the plays. Doesn't really work that way, or at least not with Matt Eberflus. Tremaine, TJ, Caleb, DJ, Kevin Byard, Cole Kmet, Jalen Johnson, and Mercedes Lewis will be the team captains for the 2024 season. Really weird that they brought back Mercedes Lewis for that final sort of season. He's 40 years old, by the way. 40 years old, and he is a captain on the Chicago Bears. I don't know why. I don't think he really figures and factors into this team a whole lot when it comes to the play calling and the scheme. But here we are. So Mercedes Lewis, we got two tight ends as team captains. We've got two secondary as team captains, one receiver, two linebackers. Montez Sweat left off the list. A couple of players that we might see otherwise. kind of left off this list. So, let's see what happens here over the next little while. I think this, by the way, I do want to say that I think that these are all great choices. Caleb Williams, a little bit weird that a rookie is coming out as a team captain, but I think that this is really a testament to the faith that this team now has in their young upstart quarterback to see him move and continue on to that next level while he's still here, because he may not be here in, I want to say, a month or so, according to a recent report that just happened. So, and that one's going to be really interesting. But let's continue moving on before I tell you why Caleb Williams is going to be sitting on the bench pretty soon. Okay. All right. Caleb Williams is this is just Cynthia Freeland, an analyst for the NFL Network, says that the Bears are going to miss the playoffs. She does not have the same confidence as many other people around Chicago. Analytics expert Cynthia Freeland took data from the past 12 NFL campaigns to create historical references for personnel schemes and matchup, identifying factors that are proven to lead to wins and losses. She vetted the correlations with a bunch of real football people and had her math checked out by real math people to make sure that the model reflected reality as much as possible. Then she compared this year's personnel schemes and matchup with the vetted mathematical weightings and simulated the season to produce a ceiling, floor, and projected win total for all 32 teams. The ceiling to floor range is something to focus on. The big discrepancy means the team is projected to play in more close games. So what did she come up with? She came up with the number one team overall being the Philadelphia Eagles, projected to win 11.2 games, followed by San Francisco, projected to win 11 games, Detroit 10.7, the Atlanta Falcons 10.1, the Green Bay Packers 9.8, the Dallas Cowboys 9.2, the Los Angeles Rams 8.9, and then coming in not making the playoffs right after that would be the Chicago Bears. And what she said was the overall win would be 8.6 with a ceiling of 10.5 and a floor of 5.8, with FanDuel giving an over-under of 8.5. And that seems to me, look, I don't know that it's an outlier in estimation or if she's just she's thinking things through a certain way, but I'm going to kind of disagree with this. But she says this: I love all this hype around Caleb Williams. Bears fans should indeed be super excited about the number one pick. But let's not overlook just how good DJ Moore has become. NGS shows that Chicago's wide receiver caught plus 15.1 receptions over expectation in 2023, the second highest figure of any player behind only CD Lamb. So it's a good selection. Overall, look, I'm not unhappy that she's putting us right outside of the playoffs, and I don't like the fact that the ceiling is about 10.5. However, I will take it. Look, not everybody's going to look at it the way I look at it with the tight games that were held last year. Not everybody's going to agree with that. Some people are going to say, well, what matters is the product on the field. And that's very, very true. So, and she's making a lot of interesting, she's making a lot of interesting points here. But look, when you look at this, Kansas City doesn't show up anywhere. So I'm not sure, I'm really not sure how this is, I'm really not sure how this plays out. Maybe this is just the NFC and, we'll look at the AFC next time, but she has the Bears just barely missing the playoffs. So, maybe tomorrow we'll see something a little bit different, but oh yeah, here we go. As a matter of fact, there's an AFC rundown right there. So, but let me know what you think in the comments down below. Do you think that we're going to miss the playoffs? I don't think we're going to miss the playoffs. And I don't think so because we're going to have the greatest quarterback in history. Guys, if you're not listening to me, I'm going to tell you right now, the greatest quarterback in the history of the Chicago Bears is about to take the field. Now, you might be saying Caleb Williams. Nah, Zach Wilson. Because according to sources, this source is TWSN, It says that the Bears are going to make a trade and take Zach Wilson of the Denver Broncos, and that he will be coming to the Chicago Bears. As the Chicago Bears look to solidify their quarterback depth behind prize rookie Caleb Williams, one intriguing option is Zach Wilson. He's a former top prospect who showed promise during the Broncos preseason and may be moving on, and the Bears would be an ideal landing spot. Caleb Williams has already drawn comparisons to some of the NFL's more dynamic quarterbacks, and Zach Wilson, through his career, has had ups and downs, but possesses a similar skill set to Caleb Williams. Known for his strong arm and penchant for improvisation, Zach Wilson thrives when the play breaks down, often making things happen with his legs and his arm strength. This makes him a natural fit as a backup for Caleb Williams. The continuity and play style between the two quarterbacks would allow the Bears offense to maintain its rhythm if Williams were sidelined for any reason. So, guys, Super Bowl bound, Zach Wilson. Look, there's really, there really wouldn't appear to me to be any chance of something like this happening. First of all, the Bears had their guy, if you will, and Brett Rippon let him go in favor of youth at the quarterback position. I don't think that we're going to flip the script right now and take some veteran youth. That makes no sense whatsoever. I don't know that I agree with the assessment of Zach Wilson at all. I can see why people are going to say that, but I feel like Caleb Williams. Look, I think Tyson Bagent is a capable backup, and I think Austin Reed is probably one of those guys where, look, if Caleb goes down and Tyson's the guy, and Tyson goes down and Austin Reed becomes that guy for a game or two, I don't think we're going to be in horrible hands. I think that the Bears will have a strong enough rushing game to make sure that if something crazy were to happen, that we will be fine unless there's an emergency. In the event that there's an emergency, then, all bets are off, and we may need to go out and reach out to grab a quarterback that we might otherwise not have had or not have considered. But otherwise, I don't think that there's any opportunity here where Zach Wilson comes to the Chicago Bears. But I don't know. But I'm curious, and I'm curious though. What do you think? Do you think that Zach Wilson could end up as a third quarterback for the Chicago Bears? And if so, who would have to be dropped from the roster? Because you can't have 54 men. So you would have to drop somebody from this roster in order to bring in a third quarterback. So I don't really see any path forward for that right now. And, you never know, but it doesn't look like it. Anyway, that's my time, guys. You guys have a good Labor Day. Go out, barbecue, do whatever it is that you got to do. This is the last opportunity. Summer is over. The pools are closing, but in approximately 6 days, we will have Chicago Bears football. So bear down. Until then, FUGB. We don't like Green Bay here. So let's enjoy it. Have a good day. Happy birthday to Crimson. It's his 40th birthday. And we will talk to you guys again very, very soon.